said before that the star system for rating is imperfect. What does this class or members of this class have that the star system doesn't necessarily measure?
Well, someone would have to tell me how the star system measures for me to answer that question. I don't know that. What I do know is this. The way the star system has portrayed the past hasn't really come to fruition. I think we have 10 two-star players that are currently in the NFL. So I think ultimately recruiting is about relationships. Recruiting is about finding the right players and the right people, the right players for your system, the right people for your culture, for your university. And when all those things fit right, then that player is going to get better throughout his career. And I think that's what recruiting is. You are doing the best job you can as a recruiter to say, okay, here's where this player is right now when he's in high school. How much better is he going to get in our system? Because how much better he gets in our system might not be the same as how much better he gets in another system. And so when you ask me that question about this class, what I would say is that with this class, with this group of 26 players, I'm really excited about how much better I think they can get in our system and really excited about how good they are right now on film.
Just going back to the recruiting in that Big Ten region, I know one of the reasons Rutgers went to Florida was there was such a depth of talent there that the schools in those states just couldn't take everybody. There were guys there for the taking, and you proved that with the results from some of those players. Is there that depth of talent in those areas now that Rutgers can go get one kid from that state, one kid from this state, one kid from another state?
I think there is, but I think recruiting starts at home. And our traditional recruiting area has to be our primary focus every year. Now, that traditional area includes Florida. It's not necessarily close by geography, but we have such a significant amount of players on our team from Florida. They feel very much at home when they come here. And the other thing I would say to you from recruiting over the years is there are different parts of the country tend to travel more than others. There are certain parts of the country where the high school talent might be rich. They don't generally migrate north in terms of coming to school. There's always an exception, but in general they don't. And you got to find the areas not only where there's talent, but where that talent is going to be willing to travel.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on adding 2 quarterbacks technically in this class? And, you know, what do you see from Philip Nelson? What do you see from Gio Rosinho?
I think it's 2 completely different situations. I think with Gio coming in as a freshman, we're really excited about his athleticism, about his leadership characteristics. He's a tall, long, athletic body, throws the ball well, and really can run very well also. You know, with Philip, he's a little bit more of a known commodity because he's been starting in the Big Ten for 2 years at Minnesota. Now he's not eligible this year, so he's going to have to learn the offense, learn the system, learn about our culture as a football team, learn how we do things. And I think as he does that over the next year, it'll be an advantage for him when he gets an opportunity to compete for the job.
Kyle, when you see that there's 8 kids from Jersey, what do you have to do to maybe differently, or was it just fluke this year to get that number a little higher? I'm sure you want it.
I think every year is different, and I don't know what the number would be that I would want. You know, ultimately, I want the right players for our program. I want players that are excited about being here and representing Rutgers University. And there's some really talented football players in those 8 players. Some years it's been more. I don't know what the goal number would be, but I know this. I am really excited about these 8 players from New Jersey and the other players in this class that are excited about playing for Rutgers University.
And, what impact do you think the new coaches will have going forward on recruiting?
I think they'll have an impact. I think they'll have an impact. And I think one of many things that are exciting as we turn the page towards next season is the university giving me the resources to go out and get the finest coaches in football and the finest minds. And I think when you have resources like that, it can lead to continuity. And when it leads to staff continuity, there's no doubt that helps you in recruiting.
You mentioned that a bunch of challenges over the past 14 months have kind of been developed, and you guys had to overcome that. Combined with, I guess, the high-profile decommitments that you had and the coaching changes, how did that all come to affect this recruiting class?
You'd have to ask the recruits. I don't think of it like that. You know, when we go forward in recruiting every day, we are out there trying to get the most talented players that fit our core values, that fit into our system and fit into our university. And then once we sign them, they're the only ones I think about. because it's only the players that you sign at your university do you get to develop. So the players that may have gone other places, that's not my concern anymore. My total focus goes to these players.
Kyle, it seems more than ever now there's a premium being placed on getting big, rangy defensive backs. How much of that was appealing with a guy like Saquon Hampton, who's 6'1", 6'2"?
Sure, Saquon Hampton. You know, Isaiah Wharton is another tall, long guy. Darian Daly's a long-arm guy. Certainly popular with what just happened in the Super Bowl. I know a lot of people have talked about that a lot out in Seattle, and I'm going to talk to Dan a little bit about that in the offseason because he was coordinating that defense. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think, you know, if you're going to play against big, tall, physical receivers, you better have physical corners. And are they all going to be over 6 foot? I don't know that. I don't think the average height for a corner in the NFL is over 6 foot. So I don't lead myself to believe that. But I think we have added some tall, long bodies. But what I've noticed since becoming the head coach and being more involved in special teams is this. Those tall, long bodies, guys like Brandon Jones, guys like Marcus Cooper, guys like Logan Ryan, they don't just help you at corner. They help you in special teams. And that's kind of the unwritten story of needing those type of bodies on your team.
Coach, from a defensive perspective, a lot of the players you've had in the program have fit in the league that you've played in the Big East very well. This year was a little bit of a different look to the league, a lot of passing offenses you hadn't seen before. As you go into the Big Ten, how much, when you put together this class, do you look to the types of teams and the offenses that you'll face in that league?
I think from a personnel standpoint, we look inward first. Now, we know what our struggles were last year. We know where our inexperience was last year, and I feel that we're going to learn from that and we'll be better because of it, even though it wasn't always enjoyable to go through it. But I think we look inward to our system because we feel like that our system of defense, when played at the highest level, can compete with anybody in the country, and I think it's proven that over time. You know, so we're not gonna overreact to maybe our youth from last year. We're going to do a better job doing what we do. We have gotten bigger over the last couple of years because I think we've had access in recruiting to some bigger guys, but we have not sacrificed athleticism, and I think that is the key to everything. If you just go out with the mindset that you're going to get bigger, you can get bigger and get less athletic, and ultimately it's not going to be a positive.
I know you said yesterday you really weren't concerned with the length of the coaching searches. Do you feel like that affected recruiting? Because I know a lot of recruits were kind of saying that there was some uncertainty there.
You'd have to ask them. I don't think you could put a timetable on finding the right people. And I am really excited about the people that are in our program right now. I had a chance to talk to a couple people for the last position over the last 24 hours, and I feel like that will hopefully be resolved in the next couple days. And then we'll have our full staff together and we'll be able to go forward. Whether it did or it didn't would not have affected the pace of the search. That is all about finding the right people. And I think what the fans, what the university, what everybody will come to appreciate as we get closer to next season is that all these coaches were worth the wait.
Bit of a, I guess, a non sequitur, but why do college programs still use fax machines today?
You know, I did get that question on another interview today. And why do colleges use fax machines today? I don't know. The players would tell you that I'm trying to eliminate paper from the program, even though I've got a couple pieces up here today. Maybe there's just something about being able to hold it in your hand. Maybe a scanned document on the computer just wouldn't feel the same.
I'm sorry, have you tried anything else? UCLA just went to electronic or whatever. Have you thought about anything else?
We have not. We have stayed with the fax machine.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.